40,000 viewers. That is the total audience that tuned in for Unrivaled's opening night. Now compare that number to Caitlin Clark's playoff games, which pulled in more than 3 million viewers. Despite that massive gap, Napheesa Collier still went on live television and boldly claimed that her league has somehow figured out sustainable women's basketball while the WNBA has not. The math simply does not support that claim. The ratings do not back it up, and fans are clearly not buying the narrative she is pushing. These numbers tell a much clearer story about who is actually driving the growth of women's basketball right now. While Collier is busy criticizing WNBA leadership and suggesting that stars like Caitlin Clark are unnecessary, her own league is losing viewers at an alarming pace. Do you think Unrivaled will shut down soon? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Make no mistake about it, these ratings are terrible even without looking at the total audience numbers. The key demographic, ages 18 to 49, tells the entire story. Anyone with experience analyzing ratings can immediately see that these numbers are extremely weak. Unrivaled entered this season making big promises. The league branded itself as the future of women's basketball, promoting its fast-paced 3-on-3 format and a lineup of established players. Collier and her partner spoke confidently about building something the WNBA supposedly could not provide. They framed their league as the next evolution of the sport. Marketing leaned heavily on star power and competitive play, pushing the idea that audiences would tune in even if the biggest name in the game, Caitlin Clark, chose not to participate. Then the numbers came in, and they collapsed. Opening night attracted only 40,000 viewers in the most important advertising demographic. That number is real, and it is staggering. 40,000 people watched what was marketed as revolutionary basketball. You can almost feel the panic from investors who put serious money into this project. The viewership missed expectations by such a wide margin that it became impossible to ignore. One TNT broadcast, the Breeze vs. Phantom game, posted a 0.04 rating. For clarity, that translates to roughly 40,000 viewers, then dropping further into the 30,000 and even 20,000 range within the 18 to 49 demographic. This specific metric is what matters most when media rights deals are negotiated, because advertisers are paying for access to this age group. These numbers are the foundation of revenue, and they are undeniably bad. Now contrast that with what real star power looks like. Caitlin Clark's games during her rookie and sophomore seasons consistently drew more than 2 million viewers, with some broadcasts reaching 3 million. Regular season Indiana Fever games featuring Clark attracted audiences that dwarfed Unrivaled's debut by enormous margins. Clark brought true mainstream attention, and that attention translated directly into people watching games. When you look deeper, the difference becomes even more striking. Social media engagement surrounding Clark's performances generated millions of interactions. ESPN devoted extensive coverage to her games, and sports talk shows built entire segments around her impact. At the same time, Unrivaled struggled to generate meaningful buzz outside of niche basketball circles. During a Lunar Owls broadcast, Napheesa Collier spoke about Unrivaled with confidence and pride, praising what the league was supposedly accomplishing. She emphasized sustainability as if the matter were settled. That comment immediately sparked backlash. The reaction online was swift and brutal. Collier was dragged across social media for her statements and heavily criticized for claiming success that the numbers clearly did not support. Clark's influence extends far beyond television ratings. Her jersey sales shattered WNBA records. Ticket prices for Indiana Fever games skyrocketed throughout her run. Attendance surged wherever her team played. The financial ripple effects were felt across the entire league, and sponsors responded by committing larger investments. Unrivaled struggles become even more troubling when you consider its financial backing. This is not a small grassroots operation. It carries a reported valuation of $340 million. That valuation was built on projections that now look wildly unrealistic. Investors expected returns that justified that figure, but instead they are watching viewership numbers that would fail to impress even a high school program. There was little to no social media buzz leading up to Unrivaled's return. The league also struggled to answer a critical question: where are the stars? While the league tried to aggressively promote Paige Bueckers as its centerpiece, the effort fell flat. There was no real excitement, no energy, and no meaningful audience draw. The difference between manufactured hype and authentic star power could not be clearer. Clark did not rely on gimmicks or flashy marketing. Fans watched because her play demanded attention. The excitement surrounding her felt natural, not forced. Alternative leagues face serious challenges when they lack mainstream stars. The 3-on-3 format might work for short-term entertainment, but it does not create the long-term storylines needed to build sustained fan interest. Casual viewers want narratives, rivalries, and personalities they can follow over an entire season. A short-lived pop-up league simply cannot replicate that depth. Calling a 2-year experimental league sustainable is premature at best. Claiming business expertise at this stage sounds more like recycled jargon than real understanding. These ratings raise important questions about who truly drives growth in women's basketball. The data clearly shows that players like Clark bring in new audiences. Without them, alternative leagues struggle to maintain even basic engagement. Despite this reality, Collier stood in front of cameras and confidently claimed that Unrivaled had solved sustainability while the WNBA had failed. She framed her league as proof that a better business model existed and suggested league leadership needed to be replaced if they could not replicate it. When opening night numbers finally arrived, those bold claims collapsed. Viewership levels were low enough to embarrass a small college broadcast. Engagement plummeted immediately, and social media momentum vanished almost instantly. The business model she praised was losing potential customers from day one. Critics quickly pointed out that the format sacrificed substance for flash. While it created highlights, it failed to generate lasting emotional investment. Fans could not connect with teams or storylines that felt artificially assembled. As Unrivaled struggled, Collier began positioning herself and other veterans as the foundation of women's basketball's recent growth. She implied that established players were responsible for the sport's surge in popularity. That version of events does not align with reality. The largest growth spike occurred when Clark entered the scene and captured mainstream attention. Ratings jumped, merchandise sales exploded, and attendance surged specifically because of her presence. These were not gradual improvements. They were sudden increases that directly coincided with her rise. Despite claims of sustainability, Unrivaled failed to attract or retain top talent. The league could not secure Caitlin Clark, could not bring in A'ja Wilson, and struggled to keep other stars involved. While operating with lower overhead by hosting games in one location, the league still failed the most basic requirement of any entertainment product: attracting viewers. Marketing and funding alone cannot compensate for a lack of genuine star power. Meanwhile, WNBA games on NBA TV consistently draw hundreds of thousands of viewers, several times Unrivaled's numbers. That contrast explains why Collier's comments were met with such harsh criticism. She was widely criticized and publicly dismantled for making claims that did not align with reality. Compounding the issue is Collier's role as vice president of the WNBA while simultaneously running a competing basketball league. That dual position creates serious ethical concerns. She is expected to represent all WNBA players during negotiations while also promoting a business that directly competes with their employer. The conflict becomes impossible to ignore. As vice president, she is responsible for advocating for better pay, working conditions, and revenue sharing for players. Yet her actions raise questions about where her true priorities lie.